Hi guys, welcome to mine and Elizabeth's Digestive Health Series, episode 2. Today's topic is on acid reflux. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ashley. I'm a registered dietitian and I work at a cardiac rehab facility. Today I do want to go over what acid reflux is, why it's important, and how to combat it with nutrition. So firstly, what is it? Acid reflux is when acidity from the stomach comes back up into the esophagus, right? And so that might seem like, oh, it's not really a big deal unless you experience it and you know it's not very pleasant and it hurts. But the reason why it's important, like I mentioned, I work at a cardiac rehab facility. I see patients come in with that a lot, and I've also had a lot of patients tell me that's actually one of the symptoms that they knew they were having a heart attack. So it's important to recognize that it's not only bad because it hurts physically, but it also can be a symptom of a heart attack. So we have to really pay attention to what we're putting in our body, which brings us to how to combat acid reflux, right? So acid reflux can be treated, of course, with medication. Everything can, but it's a temporary treatment because what really gets down to fixing the problem is getting rid of the acid buildup in the first place, right? I'm all about getting to the root of the problem, getting to the cause of what's causing the problem, not just putting a band-aid on things, right? So those medications, sure, they put a band-aid on it temporarily, but they're not going to fix the problem. So what actually fixes acid reflux? What we eat and how we eat. Those are the two major things we need to focus on. So firstly, fat. Fat is going to be so important to reduce if you are experiencing acid reflux or if you have been experiencing acid reflux for a long time. Saturated fat specifically is inflammatory, and not to mention it's extremely bad for a whole list of other things. But specifically for inflammation and in regards to acid reflux, reducing saturated fat is one of the best ways to combat acid reflux. Now, what do I mean by that? A lot of dietitians will say, reduce your saturated fat intake. Well, how, right? So things like any oil, any butter, mayonnaise, cream, ice cream, all the things that we all love, cheeses, cream cheese, creamy dressings, red meat, all these things are high in saturated fat. That will be the first step in really combating the acid reflux. And of course, fried foods as well. Fried foods, as we know, are not healthy, right? So the next thing is animal protein. Animal protein builds up acidity in the body. Now, if you've heard of an alkaline diet before, alkaline diets pretty much mean that instead of being more acidic, you're being more alkaline or basic. And that's really important in combating inflammation and reducing, of course, acidity so that you're not regurgitating all that acid when you're eating. So that is a big part of it. So any type of animal protein would be chicken, fish, pork, beef, eggs. What else am I missing? Anything from an animal, cheese even. So again, cheese kind of fits in both categories. So really, cheese is not a healthy food at all, even though sometimes we might want to believe it is. Now, third is caffeine. We really want to reduce our caffeine intake. And a lot of times that also has to do with, okay, I'm putting 7 creamers in my coffee. All that saturated fat is also going to affect it. So the caffeine and the saturated fat together definitely makes a difference. And of course, the good old chocolate, love my chocolate, but that is also going to increase that acid reflux because the acidity will build up. Also, some other things that we can do in terms of behavior changing, how we eat. So not eating right before bed is really important. So really after a meal, we always want to take time to relax and really turn on our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest. So if we're eating and then going, that's our fight or flight nervous system, and that's going to not allow us to digest properly because our body is ready to fight or flight. So it's ready to use all these muscles and ready to go, and not to just calm down and let the blood flow to the stomach and the intestines to digest properly. And the other most important part is that we want to eat slowly. Now, most of us might even not realize that we are eating extremely fast when we're eating any type of meal throughout the day. But what that does is, firstly, when you're not eating slowly, you're not chewing properly. When you're not chewing properly, your food isn't broken down enough in the mouth, so that means the stomach has to do more. When the stomach has to do more, that means it produces more acid. And so you see where this is going, right? So that acid, it's easier to build that acid up and experience acid reflux. Also, when we eat faster, we typically eat more because we don't give ourselves time for the stomach to send the brain the signal that I'm full, so stop eating. So essentially we'll overeat, and overeating can also produce more stomach acid, of course, because the more food we have, the more stomach acid we need to break down the food. So all these things are really essential in understanding and combating acid reflux for nutrition. But now Elizabeth will give you some techniques for reflexology that you can do on your own to combat acid reflux. Take it away, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Ashley, for those amazing tips. Now I'm going to show you some points that you can use to help with acid reflux. So the first one isn't a point on your hands and feet, but it's something that you can do when you're feeling like you have acid reflux. And one thing that you can do is you can lay on your left side. And that will help because it opens everything up and makes it easier for you to digest. Okay, so the first point on the hand is one that we also saw last time in the constipation video. If you haven't watched that, you should definitely watch it. So we're going to go across the diaphragm. The diaphragm is very important with acid reflux since the esophagus passes through the diaphragm. So if there's any constriction on the diaphragm, that could end up making the acid reflux worse. So it's always good to work this point out and to just go very, very slow. And you can do that 3 to 6 times. The next one we're going to do is the solar plexus. This one is a very important one because it's a very relaxing one, and it also matches up with the celiac plexus, which is a nerve plexus in the abdomen. The next one we're going to do is, if you can see, there's kind of like a V or a U with the lines on your hand. And this is an area that is known to help with acid reflux. And what we're going to do is we're simply just going to press over that area. Now, once we've done that, we're going to go over to the stomach, which is kind of a little bit over from where that V was. So we're going to work that spot. And I'm doing it rather quickly, but you can spend more time on each of these points. Okay, the next one is the small intestine. Now, if you don't get the point exactly, that's totally okay. You might just be working a little bit more on a part of the large intestine too, which is totally fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over between these two fingers, come down to like the bottom 1/3 of your hand, and we're going to just very simply move our finger across that area. You can cross probably about 3 times, and you'll notice that I stopped about here, because if you go further down, you're in the large intestine, which is fine if you'd like to work that too. Do that. And then we have one last point, which is, second to last point, which is a acupressure point. So a really good way to find it is by putting 3 fingers right here, and then wherever this last finger, in this case your ring finger, falls, take your thumb and you put it in right here. And this is P6, pericardium 6. And you can just do little circles, you can press, you can do this for probably about 2 to 3 minutes. And then the last one is actually on the foot. So I'm going to use this foot to demonstrate, and it's liver 3. So you're going to go down in between the big toe and the second toe. Go down to about right there. And you can do the same thing as you did, little circles. And that's the sequence. So what you can do is you can do that sequence on both hands and then both feet for the last point. And those are some points that are helpful with acid reflux relief. We're really excited to be doing this digestive health series, and we can't wait. So if you have any feedback, comments, anything you'd like to see, please let us know, and we'll see you next time.